James Evans.
Diolch, Llywydd. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Secretary for his statement today and acknowledge the complexity of providing a budget, knowing that every pound devoted to one service comes at the expense of another. And those trade-offs do tell us everything about a government's values, and anybody in this chamber who asks for money without saying where it's going to come from, I'm afraid, is living in a fantasy land. But let me start with scale. The Welsh Government has 27.6 billion at its disposal. 13.7 billion goes to health and social care, 7 billion to housing and local government, and 3.78 billion to education. These are huge sums of money, yet despite historic investment into these services, public confidence is low. Waiting lists remain stubborn. There's still problems in our education system, and our councils are saying that children's services and adult social care face extreme budget pressures. But considering the amount of money we have put into these services, we're not seeing a return on that investment. And I think in this chamber we have to be brave when it comes to public services reform. We can't keep going on as business as usual, and I think we do need to have a real hard look at the structure of our public services across Wales to make sure they're fit for the modern world and make sure we're not throwing good money after bad all the time, because doing the same thing over and over again is not the right way and not the right approach. The outline budget, in my view, prioritises maintenance over that transformational reform. And I'd just like to ask the Cabinet Secretary about the increase in staff in the Central Services Wales budget. I know the Cabinet Secretary in the past has talked about not increasing central costs due to the cost of living pressures. I have seen, Karen, I'll come to it now, due to the cost of living pressures and pressures in other government departments. So I'd just like to know why he has changed that and whether increasing that budget he has asked for other departments to make sure there is administrative efficiencies contained without those higher level budget allocations. Yes, Carolyn.
Wanted to explain a little bit further how local government could reform. Over 14 years, they've restructured, reorganised. 40% of jobs have gone, and they've already cut the fat and cut to the bone, trying to deliver basic frontline services now.
Carol, I think we need to have a genuine conversation about the future of what local government looks like, the future of what education services look like within that local government footprint, and what the future of our health footprint looks like across Wales. We can't keep going with the same old narrative and keep funding it the way we are, because it's not working now. So maybe we need to have a look at a new method. I know the Cabinet Secretary herself has talked about an all-Wales public service in the past. Is that something that we have to look at again? Something that I'm not against, looking at reforming public services. Others are a bit scared to do that, but I'm afraid we have to grasp the nettle and get on with it. One thing in the budget which I'm very keen on, we talk a lot in this chamber about skills and our skills development, growing our economy, making sure we've got the infrastructure there in the future, but I don't think we have that economic vision in the budget. Wales has lost an estimated 50.3 million on economic loss across our country, and I think we should see more money going into that skills agenda. As I said, if we want to build homes for people, if we want to have future infrastructure, we need to have people on the ground to do that. And I commend the Minister for Skills for his work in this area, but I think he needs more fiscal support to enable that to happen, to get those apprentices of the future, our university graduates of the future, to really invest in Wales's future. So here's the crux of my challenge to the Cabinet Secretary and probably to everybody in this chamber. We need to shift the focus from that symbolism to focus and to substance. We need to change budget. We need to look at reforming public services, because only reforming public services is the way we're going to deliver better value for money and better public services. We could use that extra headroom that the Cabinet Secretary has allocated, that 380 million, to put into skills, to do that high impact delivery. I said use it to uplift apprenticeship funding, give our councils more certainty in funding in the short term, and especially those more sparsely populated counties that I know Jane Dodds and I and others represent across this chamber. Diolch, Llywydd.